Be me, 26 years old today, sitting alone in my dark bedroom, staring at the wall, feeling hollow. Memories flood back like black water. Need to understand where it started. Rewind the tape to the beginning. Born to a very strong mother. She wanted to change the world. Started by changing her own son. You will be different, my love. She whispered this to my cradle. No toy soldiers, no plastic guns. Only wooden blocks and soft dials. Aggression is a sickness, she said. We must cure you of it. I learned to suppress every impulse. Anger was something to be ashamed of. Tears were celebrated as true strength. Real men cry, she always insisted. I cried a lot back then. Thought it made me a hero. First day of elementary school arrives. I walked in with my head high, carrying a floral pattern lunchbox. Mother said it defied gender norms. Other boys stared at me quietly. I smiled just like she taught. Hello friends, I am emotionally available. That afternoon, they cornered me outside. 3 boys, bigger and much meaner. One knocked the lunchbox from my hand. Sandwich spilled into the dirty gravel. I felt a flash of heat. Fists clenched tight at my sides. Mother's voice echoed in my head. Violence is never the right answer. I unclenched my hands, took breath. Looked the bully in the eye. I understand you are in pain. I forgive you for this acting out. The bully blinked, confused for a second. Then he punched me in the face. I fell back, tasting warm blood. They kicked dirt onto my clothes. Laughed as I lay there sobbing. Went home with a swollen lip. Mother hugged me, looking so proud. You were the better man today. You broke the cycle of violence. I believed her with all my heart. Years passed, the conditioning took root. High school was a lonely place. I stayed on the quiet fringes, watching other boys play rough sports, watching them push and shove jokingly. It looked fun, but also barbaric. I sat with the girls at lunch. They said I was so sweet. You are not like other guys. That was the highest compliment possible. Then in junior year, she appeared. Sarah, the new girl in class. Long dark hair, eyes like emeralds. My breath caught in my throat. First time I felt this pull. A crushing weight on my chest. She sat next to me in English. Smelled like vanilla and summer rain. I could barely hold my pen. Wanted to talk to impress her. Went home and asked Mother for help. How do I win her heart? Mother smiled her knowing, gentle smile. Do not try to conquer her. Women do not want a warrior. They want a soul who listens. Be her sanctuary, be her safe place. Show her your vulnerability, my son. I took those words as gospel. Next day I asked about her life. She seemed surprised, then she smiled. Nobody ever asks me that, she said. We talked for the whole period. I nodded and made intense eye contact. Absorbed every word she spoke. Became the vessel for her thoughts. Weeks turned into months of talking. We spent every lunch break together. I knew her fears, her dreams. I knew her favorite childhood pet. I knew her parents' messy divorce. But I never made a move. Mother said patience was a virtue. Wait until she sees your soul. So I waited in the shadows, holding her hand when she cried, never daring to hold it otherwise. I was the perfect, gentle gentleman. She called me her best friend. The words stung but felt good. I thought I was winning the game, playing the long game of love, ignoring the ache in my gut, ignoring the way she looked at others, the boys who played football outside. The ones with dirt on their jeans. She watched them with a different look. A look I never received from her. I told myself she was evolved. She would choose the sensitive poet, not the brute with the broad shoulders. Prom season was approaching very fast. I planned the perfect, soft proposal. Wrote a poem about her inner beauty. Mother read it and actually wept. This is what true love is. She will melt when she hears this. I felt a surge of confidence. Armed with words and zero aggression. I was ready to claim my prize. The prize for being the good boy. The boy who never fought back. The boy who understood female pain. Reality was waiting to crush me. Waiting around the corner with a bat. But I walked forward, eyes closed. Blinded by the light of my training. Hallway noise fades into white static. Clutching the folded paper like a weapon. My heart hammers against my thin ribs. Sweat beading on my pale forehead. She stands by the trophy case. Light catches her hair just right. Like an angel in a teen movie. Surrounding her were the usual guards, girls who judged with sharp eyes. I took a breath and stepped forward. The distance felt like miles to cross. My shoes squeaked on the linoleum floor. Heads turned to watch my approach. I focused only on her face. She noticed me and stopped laughing. Her smile faltered into confused politeness. "Hey, did you need something?" Her voice was soft but distant. I could not speak at first. My throat felt filled with sand. I thrust the paper toward her. "I wrote this for you." My voice cracked on the last word. A hush fell over the hallway. She took the paper, hesitating slightly. Her friends leaned in to see. I waited for the tears of joy, waited for the realization of love. She unfolded the note very slowly. Her eyes scanned the rhyming verses. "Your soul is a blooming flower. Your eyes hold the morning sky." I memorized every line I wrote. She finished and looked up again. There was no tear in her eye, only a look of mild discomfort. "Oh, wow, this is really intense." Intense was not the word I wanted. "I wanted to ask you to prom." I blurted it out too quickly. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. She glanced at her friends nervously. "Anon, that is very sweet of you." The dreaded words were forming now. "But I am going with Mark." Mark, the quarterback with the scar. The one who shoved me yesterday. My stomach dropped through the floor. "Mark, but he doesn't know you." I argued with reality in vain. "He doesn't know your inner soul." She took a small step back. "We have been dating for months." The whisper of her friend reached me. "Is he actually crying right now?" I touched my face, feeling moisture. Shame washed over me in waves. "I thought you were different." I whispered it, but she heard. Her expression hardened just a fraction. "I am just a girl, Anon. Please don't make this weird." "Make it weird." It was pure. It was the highest form of love. The bell rang, shattering the moment. "We have to get to class." She handed the paper back to me. "You should keep this for someone else." She turned away, her hair swinging. Mark appeared from the crowd then. He wrapped an arm around her waist. She leaned into him, seeking comfort. Comfort from the monster, not me. I stood alone in the thinning crowd, clutching the rejected poem in my hand. The ink was smudging from sweat. Students flowed around me like water, avoiding the rock in the stream. The boy who just publicly crashed. My training had failed me completely. Being good was not good enough. Being sensitive was just being weak. I walked to the nearest bathroom, locked myself in the handicap stall, sat on the toilet lid shaking, ripped the poem into tiny pieces, watched them float in the water, like the wreckage of my life. Prom was in 2 weeks' time. I had no date, no dignity, just the echo of her pity, and the image of Mark's hand, resting possessively on her lower back. Darkness began to fill my chest, a cold, hard stone of resentment. Maybe the poets were all liars. Maybe love was just biological warfare. I skipped the rest of my classes, walked home under the gray sky. Mom was waiting in the kitchen. Did she say yes, my sweet? Her hope made me want to scream. She said she was going with Mark. Mom's face fell, then turned angry. She clearly has no taste then. You are too good for her. The words tasted like ash now. I went to my room, door locked. Lay on the bed staring up. The ceiling fan spun, mocking me. Round and round, going absolutely nowhere. I replayed the scene in my head, over and over, analyzing every frame. Where did the script go wrong? I followed all the rules perfectly. I was the protagonist of this story. Why did the villain get the girl? The sun went down outside my window. My room filled with blue shadows. Hunger gnawed, but I ignored it. A new thought began to take root. Maybe I was not the hero. Maybe I was just the background, the NPC with no dialogue options. The realization was colder than rejection. I turned on my computer screen. The blue light washed over my face. Searching for answers in the void. Found forums of other lost souls. Men who had followed the rules. Men who were betrayed by the game. I read their stories until dawn. Their anger felt like a warm blanket. It was better than feeling sad. Sadness was passive, anger was active. I looked at my reflection in the monitor, saw the softness in my jawline, saw the pleading look in my eyes. That boy had to die today. The nice guy had to be buried. I would not be the poet anymore. I would not be the weeping mat. I would become something else entirely. Something cold, hard, and unfeeling. The transformation began in the dark, fueled by the image of them. Her head on Mark's broad shoulder, laughing at the boy with the poem. I swore I would make them regret, not with violence but with success. I would win the game of life, and look down on them from above. The memory begins with her name. Claire was the start of it. She was sharp, bright, and alive. Met her at a community event. She liked my quiet, gentle nature. Or so I told myself then. I applied every lesson Mom taught. Ruth had raised me to be different. A new kind of modern man. No rough edges, only soft curves. I treated Claire like fragile glass. Never raised my voice in debate. Never asserted a choice for dinner. I let her lead every step. Thought this was the perfect love. Mom called it respecting her agency. I called it being a savior. First month was sweet and mild, but the cracks appeared very soon. We were watching a movie together. I wanted to put my arm around. I stopped and asked for permission. "May I hold you now, Claire?" She sighed and nodded her head. I missed the frustration in her eyes. I missed the tension in her jaw. Later, things moved to the bedroom. I froze at every single threshold. Asked for consent every 3 seconds. "Is this okay?" I whispered constantly. "Can I touch your waist now?" She groaned and turned her face away. "Just do it, Jose," she snapped. I pulled back, terrified and ashamed. Apologized for making her feel unsafe. She stared at the ceiling silently. The air in the room died. I thought I was being respectful. I was killing the spark dead. Next week we went to a party. Mark was there, loud and brash. He didn't ask for permission to speak. He laughed and took up space. Claire watched him with hungry eyes. I held her purse in the corner. Felt proud of my enlightened state. I was not like that animal. I was the evolved, sensitive male. Mark made a joke about her. She laughed and hit his arm. A touch she never gave me. I drove her home in silence. Asked if she had a good time. She said nothing, just looked out. The end came 3 days later. She came to my apartment alone. Her eyes were red and tired. "We need to talk," she said. The words that end the world. I sat down, ready to listen. Ready to validate her feelings perfectly. "I can't do this anymore, Jose. I feel like I'm dating a child." The sentence hit me like a stone. I stammered about respect and safety. "It's not respect," she said coldly. "It's fear dressed up as virtue. You are terrified of everything, Jose. I need a partner, not a project. There is no sexual spark here. You make me feel like a mother." She stood up and grabbed her bag. "I'm going to Mark's place tonight." The name hung in the air. She left me alone in silence. I sat there for 3 hours. The weeping mat, just as intended. I drove to my mother's house. Needed her to explain this failure. She sat me down with tea. I told her what Claire said. Ruth shook her head with pity. "She has internalized misogyny, Jose. She wants toxic masculinity to hurt her. You are better off without her. You are the future of men." I looked at my mother's face, saw the certainty in her eyes, and for the first time hated it. She had built a defective machine. She had trained me to lose. I saw the truth of my life. Every bully I never fought back. Every girl who called me friend. Every moment I swallowed my pride. It wasn't virtue, it was weakness. My therapist had warned me before. Said I needed boundaries and teeth. Said anger was a valid emotion. Mom called the therapist a fool. But the therapist was not alone. Claire was with Mark right now. And I was here drinking tea. The sadness began to curdle then. It thickened into a black tar. No more tea, no more talk. I left my mother's house quietly. Drove into the dark of night. The nice guy died on that drive. The poet was strangled by reality. I needed a new set of rules. I needed to become the villain. If the world wanted a monster, I would build the biggest one. Started with the weights next day. Pushing iron until my muscles screamed. The pain was better than numbness. Every rep was a jagged memory. Claire's laugh directed at Mark. Mom's voice praising my weakness. I ate until I felt sick. Forced the food down my throat. The softness had to be destroyed. I shaved my head in the mirror. The boy with the bangs was gone. A stranger stared back at me. Cold eyes, hard jaw, empty heart. I threw out the poetry books, burned the journals of my feelings, replaced them with charts and numbers, financial reports and market trends. If I could not be loved, I would be feared and envied. I focused on the game now. Money became the only scorecard. Success became the only revenge. I worked while they were sleeping. I lifted while they were drinking. 6 months turned into a year. My body hardened into armor. My bank account began to grow. I saw Claire once at the store. She didn't recognize the man there. She looked right past my shoulder. I felt a grim satisfaction rise. I was a ghost to her. A ghost that would haunt the world. No more asking for permission now. I took the promotion at work. Ruthlessly cut down the competition. Used their weakness against them. Just like the world used mine. My mother called to check in. Asked why I sounded so cold. I'm just growing up, I said. I'm finally becoming a real man. She didn't like the tone used. Said I sounded like my father. The father she had chased away. I hung up the phone gently. The silence was not empty anymore. It was filled with cold purpose. I opened the spreadsheet on screen. The numbers were climbing up higher. Mark was still working in sales. I was aiming for the boardroom. The long game was in motion. The nice guy was truly dead. Long live the successful monster. The memory clawed at my throat. I closed my eyes against the light. Rewind the clock to the beginning. Back to the boy I murdered. He was soft, gentle, and kind, just as my mother had raised. Never raise your voice, she said. Be the bigger man and yield. I swallowed those lies like medicine. Believed they would make me good. Enter Claire, the girl of dreams. She sat 3 desks away daily. Sunlight caught in her golden hair. I worshipped the ground she walked. But I worshipped from a distance. Mother said to respect women's space. So I never dared to encroach. I became her shadow, her servant. Carried her heavy bag every morning. Helped her study for math tests. Listened to her complain about jerks. I was the perfect, safe listener. You are so sweet, she said. My heart swelled with pathetic hope. I thought this was the path to winning her heart. Just be nice, wait your turn. The universe rewards the righteous man. That was the lie I lived. Then Mark transferred to our school. He was everything I was not. Loud, brash, arrogant, and taking space. He didn't ask for permission ever. He took what he wanted, smiling. I expected Claire to hate him. He was the opposite of good. He made crude jokes in class. He didn't listen to her problems. Yet her eyes followed him everywhere. I saw the blush on cheeks. A blush I never once caused. I doubled down on my strategy. Bought her favorite snacks in secret. Left anonymous notes of pure adoration. You deserve a prince, I wrote. She showed the notes to Mark. They laughed at the mystery writer. What a creep, Mark chuckled loudly. Claire giggled and agreed with him. My stomach turned into cold lead. But I did not get angry. Mother said anger was toxic, wrong. So I swallowed the bile down. I convinced myself she was confused. She just needed to know truth. If she knew it was me, the nice guy who helped her, she would surely choose the light. Valentine's Day was approaching fast now. I spent weeks planning the moment. Bought a singular, perfect red rose. Wrote a poem about her soul. It was innocent, pure, and weak. I waited by her locker nervously, palms sweating, heart hammering in ribs. She rounded the corner with friends. Laughter died when she saw me. I stepped forward, shaking like leaf. Held out the rose and paper. Claire, I have feelings for you. The words squeaked out, high-pitched. Her friends exchanged looks of pity. Claire looked at the rose, confused. Oh, she said, voice totally flat. I thought you were my friend. The words cut deeper than knives. I am your friend, I stammered. But I want to be more. She sighed, a heavy, annoyed sound. You are like a brother, really. Please don't make this weird now. Mark walked up behind her then. Slung a heavy arm around her. This guy bothering you, babe? He asked. Claire leaned into his embrace immediately. No, just clearing up a misunderstanding. She looked at me with pity. Go find someone else, she said. Someone who likes soft guys. Mark laughed and kissed her cheek. They walked away down the hall. I stood there, rose in hand. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly. Students walked past the frozen statue. Some laughed, some just ignored me. I walked to the nearest trash. Drop the perfect rose inside it. Something fractured inside my chest then. The nice guy cracked and bled. Mother's voice echoed in my head. Be gentle, be kind, be soft. Look where that had got me. Standing alone in a high school hall. Humiliated by the brute and girl. I went home early that day. Mother asked why I was sad. I couldn't look her in eyes. Just a headache, I lied softly. I went to my room silent. Stared at the ceiling for hours. The tears didn't come this time. Only a cold, spreading numbness came. The seed of the monster planted. It would need time to grow, but the soil was rich now, watered by rejection and deep shame. I stopped carrying her books Monday. She didn't even notice the absence. That hurt more than the rejection. I was an appliance to her, a tool that had stopped working. She simply replaced the broken tool. Another orbiter took my place there, carrying her bag, feeding her ego. I watched him with grim understanding. He was me a week ago, doomed to the same fate. I focused on my grades instead, poured my energy into cold numbers. If love was a lie, fine. Power would be the new truth. I started lifting weights in basement, pushed until my muscles screamed out. Pain was better than the numbness. Pain meant I was still alive. Mother saw the changes in me. You're becoming distant, she worried aloud. You need to talk about feelings. I have no feelings, I said. It was the first honest sentence. The nice boy was dying slow, suffocated by the reality of life. I watched Claire and Mark dating. Saw him treat her like trash. He cheated on her next month. She cried to her friends loudly. I walked past, face like stone. A part of me wanted to comfort. The old part, the weak part. I strangled that impulse with force. I was not her emotional tampon. I was not her safety net. I was a ghost haunting halls, learning the laws of the jungle. The strong take, the weak beg. I was done with begging forever. The mirror showed a stranger's face. Hard lines where softness once lived. Iron plates clanged in the silence. Sweat dripped like tears of weakness. I was building a fortress of bone. No one could hurt a stone. Mark laughed in the hallway today. His arm draped over her shoulders. A casual claim of ownership displayed. I felt the familiar acid rise, but I swallowed it down cold. My face remained a blank mask. I walked to class without flinching. Numbers were safe, logic was clean. Calculus did not break your heart. Physics did not lie to you. I excelled in every silent test. Teachers praised my sudden, sharp focus. They did not see the rod. Winter came with gray, heavy skies. The school announced the winter formal, a ritual of teen angst and lust. I planned to stay home alone. Video games were a reliable escape. But Mother insisted I should go. You need to socialize more, son. She bought me a dark suit. It fit my new frame perfectly. I looked like a young undertaker, grim reaper of my own youth. I drove to the gym instead, sat in the parking lot thinking. The bass rattled the car frame. Anger was a fuel source now. I decided to go to the dance. Not to dance, but to observe. To prove I was above them. The gym smelled of cheap perfume. Purple lights obscured the teenage awkwardness. I stood by the bleachers, watching. Couples swayed like driftwood in tides. I scanned the crowd for her. Found her in a blue dress. She looked like a sad angel. Mark was missing from her side. She stood with friends, looking bored. My heart hammered against my ribs, the biological traitor in my chest. I clenched my fists in pockets. Stay cold, I told myself sternly. Do not be the pathetic orbiter. She turned and saw me standing. Her eyes widened in genuine surprise. She said something to her friends. Then she started walking toward me. Panic flared, hot and very bright. I wanted to run away immediately, but my feet were heavy lead. She stopped 2 feet away from me. I didn't think you would come. Her voice was small, almost shy. My mother made me, I said. 6 words, flat and completely void. She looked at my new suit. You look really nice tonight, truly. The compliment felt like a slap. She only noticed the surface level. Where was she when I drowned? Thanks, I muttered, looking away. The silence stretched, tight and painful. Where is Mark? I finally asked. Her face fell, shadows crossing it. He's out with his football friends. He didn't want to dance, I pressed. I was twisting the knife intentionally. He says dancing is for losers. She tried to laugh it off. It sounded like a dry cough. I saw the unshed tears there. A perfect opening for the nice guy. The script said, "Comfort her now." The script said, "Be her hero." I looked at her teary eyes. I felt the pull of gravity, but I remembered the months alone. I remembered the silence of my phone. "Maybe he is right," I said. The cruelty tasted sweet on my tongue. Her head snapped up, eyes shocked. "What is wrong with you lately?" "I just grew up," I answered. "You used to be so sweet." Sweetness got me absolutely nothing, Claire. The music swelled, drowning our words. She took a step back, afraid. I saw fear in her eyes. Not love, not pity, but fear. It felt better than being invisible. "I miss my best friend," she whispered. "He died," I said without hesitation. I turned my back on her. Walked out of the humid gym. The winter air bit my skin. It felt clarifying, pure and honest. I sat in my cold car. Waited for the tears to come. But the ducts were dry deserts. I turned the ignition key hard. The engine roared to life, angry. I drove fast on black ice. The danger made me feel alive. I went home to the basement. Logged onto the dark web forums. Read stories of other broken men. They had names for girls like her. They had theories for my pain. I drank their words like water. Confirmation bias is a powerful drug. I was not alone in this. I was part of an army of the rejected sons. We would not be nice anymore. The world wanted monsters, I thought. So I would become a monster. School became a battlefield of glares. I stopped helping classmates with work. "Figure it out yourself," I snapped. Grades maintained, but social status dropped. Or so I thought at first. But a strange thing happened then. The aloofness attracted a new attention. Girls looked at me with curiosity. The brooding silence was interpreted as depth. They didn't know it was hollowness. A girl named Sarah approached me. She was quiet, artistic, and dark. "I like your intensity," she said. I didn't know how to respond, so I just stared at her. She took the stare for interest. We started eating lunch together silently. Claire watched us from her table. I saw the jealousy in her. Or maybe it was just confusion. It didn't matter, I fed on it. I used Sarah as a shield, a prop to show I moved on. But I felt nothing for Sarah. She was just a warm body. A listener for my silent rage. I was becoming what I hated. Mark shoved me in the hall. "Stay away from Claire," he growled. I looked him in the eye. I didn't flinch, didn't look down. "She came to talk to me." "You made her cry," Mark pushed. "She was crying about you, Mark." The crowd gathered, hoping for blood. Mark raised a fist, veins bulging. I braced for the inevitable impact. But a teacher intervened just then. We were dragged to the office. Sat on opposite sides of room. He glared, I stared at wall. I realized he was just insecure. He was terrified of losing her. I held a power I didn't understand. The principal gave us detention slips. 2 hours after school, silent study. I walked out with a smirk. Claire was waiting by the gate. She looked between us, looking anxious. Mark grabbed her hand too roughly. "Let's go," he commanded her loud. She looked back at me once. A plea for help in eyes. I put my headphones on slowly. Drowned her out with heavy metal. I walked the other way home. The hero complex was fully dead. I was the villain of this story. And villains don't save the girl. Villains burn the world down instead. I started writing a manifesto. Pages of anger, logic, and pain. Trying to solve the equation of love. Why did nice equal finish last? Why did cruelty get the prize? The internet forums cheered me on. "Profound," they typed in comments. "You see the matrix," they said. I felt like a dark prophet. But at night I stared at ceiling. And I missed her laugh terribly. The cognitive dissonance was splitting me. 2 people lived in my skull. The soft boy and the hard man. They were at war every day. The hard man was winning slowly. Sarah tried to hold my hand. I pulled away, flinching from warmth. "I'm not good at touch," I said. "Who hurt you?" she asked softly. "Everyone," I replied, melodramatic and young. She thought I was being poetic. I was just being a coward. I couldn't let anyone in close, because they would see the void. They would see the obsession there, the shrine of memories I kept. I still had her birthday gift. A necklace hidden in my drawer. Silver chain, cheap but meant well. I took it out that night, stared at the silver in moonlight. It represented the old, foolish hope. I needed to destroy it now. I needed to sever the tie. Took a hammer from the garage, placed the necklace on concrete floor, raised the hammer high above head, hesitated for a long, agonizing second. The metal looked so fragile there, like the trust she gave me. I brought the hammer down hard. Metal crunched and links shattered apart. I hit it again and again, until it was just silver dust. I swept the remains into trash, felt a heavy weight lift off, but the hole in chest grew. I was empty, vast and cold, ready for the next phase now. Total detachment from the human race. I would be a machine of success. Grades, money, muscles, and zero heart. That was the plan for survival.